Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card. So today I'm really happy to announce I'm doing another collaboration. I've been doing a few of those lately and they're really fun. I love to connect with other readers who have either very similar styles to mine so that we kind of bounce off each other, or very different styles where we kind of give you a really broad range of experiences to get the answers on the topic that we're talking about. And today I'm delighted to say that the collaboration is with the very talented Roxanne from Grounded and Inspired. So the details of her video and her channel link and all that sort of stuff is in the description box below. Roxanne is an amazing reader. She has a very deep channeling style. It's very different to mine, and so I think this is wonderful because you get, as I say, very different experiences out of this. But her own channeling energy and the way she does it, plus my finally receiving through Kickstarter the Inner Mask Oracle, which you can see cards there, which is a deck that I backed on Kickstarter, and I in fact interviewed the creator Cat Crow. So if you want to see a bit more of that, there's actually a video on my channel about that. The combination of those two things coming through at the same time, doing the opportunity to collaborate with Roxanne, and on top of that the Inner Mask Oracle coming through, made us think about doing something that was in the realm that, in a sense, the Inner Mask Oracle looks at, and I think it very much fits with someone who's such a deep channeler as Roxanne is. So we're looking at unconscious and conscious truth. So Roxanne will be looking at a conscious truth you have that it's time to either, or belief that you have, maybe belief is a better term in this way, that it's time to reevaluate for its truth and its utility for you now, and either see in a different light or let go. I'm looking at what unconscious truth, so an actual truth, is about to emerge in you, and what it is and how you can integrate it. So that I chose the unconscious because I have this deck, but as I say, they nicely balance out. So this is going to be a really interesting reading to do because I have a general idea with the structure. I always have a structure for a reading so that I can quiet my own brain down and let the liminal space come through. I'm really feeling with this that the beginning of the reading is really going to dictate how I look and use that structure. So I think I'm almost living the experience of this reading while doing it. I think that I'm really opening up as much as possible to the unconscious, both my unconscious, and also in a sense the unconscious collective consciousness, if that makes sense. So it'll be really interesting to see how it plays out. Also, because one of the things about this deck is that it is modeled in a way on the tarot. So it has a kind of major arcana and it has 4 different suits, but they're very different suits to the sort of pentacles, wands, cups, swords sort of idea of the tarot. And the major arcana is a different sort of journey. It's much more of an inner journey rather than the fool's journey in the external world that you get with the traditional tarot. So I'm going to start with almost like a mini tarot reading using this deck, and then I'm going to move from that to use traditional tarot and other oracle cards that I think are good at actually really pinpointing more information for you to be able to identify this unconscious truth as it arises. Now, the nature, I think, of Cat's deck, so this Cat Crow's deck, is that it's going to be looking at sort of shadow, or, as I say, things that are in the unconscious, things that are very deep within. So bear with me on that. This is not going to be sort of something that's meant to be a truth that is really challenging, but it is one that you may need to really consider and be able to integrate. So I'll go as gently as I can, but it is also important that Spirit gets the message to you that you're meant to see. So with that explanation, to set this up, I shuffled and I said to Spirit, please, the first 3 major arcana cards that come from this deck, let that be the choice card for each of the piles. So it will be a scene setter, but there are 4 other cards from the deck, as I say, for the almost mini Inner Mask Oracle tarot reading part of this, to really give us a sense about what we're looking at as well too. But it may be that the imagery here or the concepts here draw you to a reading. You might always go to a particular pile. You may just want to pause and meditate and go with what your inner self is telling you, whatever works for you. But for pile number 1, we have the Dreamverse or Dreamers. Oh, sorry, no, it's Dreamers. I kept reading that like that was another E. So this is about dreaming, the revolutionary thinking, the kindred spirit. So there's something in that space. Then we have the stranger for pile number 2. It talks about the unknown, opportunity, risk, gifts. And for pile number 3, we have the martyr, sacrifice, hindrance, a higher course. So that energy might call to you on some level. As I say, it's part of the scene setting, but it's not the whole thing. So just go with what your instincts tell you on that, I would say. By all means, go to more than one reading if you want. That's perfectly fine, because there might be a couple of unconscious truths that are coming up that are worth looking at, and they may complement each other, even help you deal with each other, depending upon what the challenge is, if there's a challenge in it. Whatever works for you is fine. Once you know what reading or readings you want to go to, the timestamps, as always, are in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome, Pile 1, to your reading. So you came to the reading with the dreamers. And it kind of interests me that even when I was looking at it, I found it hard to read the word, because I saw the dream verse and then I saw the dreamers. And I think that actually has some relevance here, because when we think of the dream verse, when we think of the multiverse, we think of the universe, it's sort of like a place in which a dream sits. And this is looking at finding your sort of soul twins, your spirit tribe, all of that sort of thing is what the dreamers is about. It's about connecting with those that may appear to be going in different directions, just as these two faces are looking in different directions, but are actually connected in a narrative, in a story. So I think there's a feeling here of the truth that's coming out is about where is your right place, because I think that dream verse means something, that I thought I read it that way. And then secondly, who are your right people? So the truth that's coming up, I think, is that the dream is there. One of the things that this card talks about is that the dreamers here, they're looking out. Even as I say, it looks like they're looking in different directions, but there's a sort of a common thread in what they're doing. But they're confined in a what looks like a kind of a sort of closed-in turret area in a castle. So there's a sense of what confines and almost keeps the direction separate. So I think there's an energy here about a truth coming through about what it is in terms of confining beliefs, confining material energies around you as well, where you've kind of almost the choices that you've made have made you on a material level, all of those sort of things, where that has stopped you from connecting to those that are your soul family, the ones that could dream something up. And there's definitely a sense that what is trying to emerge here for you, the truth that's trying to emerge, this talks about revolutionary thinking. It's kindred spirits, but it's also something new. So there's a very strong urge in you at this point in time to start again, to do something new, and to find the people who understand what you're doing. This could be materially, it could be spiritually, it could be politically, socially, but there's a sense of being confined in and kept separate from and almost directed in a different way. Like, one of the things I feel about this is people who are very socially conscious or politically conscious, it could be starting to see that the confines of how the media gives us information, that sort of thing, is forcing us to be looking in different directions and not finding what is common between us. But whatever this energy is, it's about finding your new way of thinking and finding the right people. So it's a really good thing that's coming, but the energy to bring it up is quite challenging, I have to say, because we have here two different suits of the deck are shown. The shadow, which is often the thing that is sort of the hidden darker energy that needs to be dealt with, or the thing that kind of can block the light a bit, and the mask, where we are maybe holding or doing things that are not completely authentic. So there is a push to understand, I think, the choices that you have made, the connections you have made in the past, the material decisions you've made, whatever it might be, and how you need to let go of those that confine you. That is the way you're going to find your people. Now, the promise is that you're going to find your people. So it's a very positive direction to go in. But when we look here with the two masks, Snowfall is all about shamanic death and transition, grief and loss. And the second mask here, burial, closure, new directions, new purpose. This is definitely a sense, as it says in shamanism, of sort of the death and letting go. The kind of, the shaman journey is often you kind of get almost killed, you die a number of times within that to clear out your energy. So, and there can be a sense here with that transition that is hard to let go of. There could be people that you dearly wanted to be part of your vision, but you're now starting to see they're just not. They're just not. They're either fall so far away that you can't connect, or that they've been a distraction from the people that you should connect with. So there's a sense of that, of almost having to chill out really and let that change occur, and then bury that which is no longer working. You know, this talks about closure, as I say, new directions, new purpose. The only way that you can move to the new is to bury the material things, particularly material things this talks about. So it may be, you know, a career that you realise in the end it might have given you certain benefits, but it's not going to give you your soul tribe, and you need to now close out on that so that you can move forward. The shadow elements that you need to work with. We have the fifth shadow, the clock, and that's reversed. Now, when it's upright, it talks about rest, contemplation, and mortality. So there's definitely a sense of endings here. Like, I think many of you would have a shamanic tendency actually, or maybe mediumship. There's things that, you know, have to do with, or karmic stuff. There's things to do with the life cycles around all of this. This is not saying you're about to die or anything. You know, I'm not talking literally here. We're talking the unconscious. We're talking symbolically. But when it's reversed, there's a sense that you have got stuck. You're not listening to the clock. You're not moving on. You're kind of caught in that sort of past energy. It's sort of, and so it's the shadow. It's stopping you from seeing the urgency of what you need to do. And then the 10th shadow here, the body, possibility, limitation, physicality, is again saying it's something material that is being kind of slowed down. So I think that what this is saying is that until you let go of choices that no longer work for you and get a sense of urgency about this and really embody it in what you do, you stay a bit stuck. You stay in this situation. You stay in the turret dreaming of the connection, dreaming of all the ways that things could be different. But the truth that's coming up is that you're ready now to do this. You're ready. It's only your own reluctance to because you're not sure, I don't think, about, will I find my people? Will the new thing work? That's the only thing that's holding you back. That's the shadow. It's the kind of not being able to see what is coming when you can see in a way what you have. So this energy is about having faith, because as I say, it's saying that it's there. You're meant to connect. But you've got to shift. You've got to shift something material. I think, like, for many of you, because I saw Dreamverse as opposed to Dreamers, I feel it's like for some of you literally have to shift, like a workplace, a town that you're living in, a social group. Like, there's a different world for you. But you have to be prepared to take that leap, almost as you could imagine these two joining hands together and leaping and leaping into the future. So the truth that's coming up for you is that there is a soul family for you. There is a dream for you. There is a place for you to be who you truly are. But you've got to be prepared to let the old you go so that can come through. So this is pretty profound. So let's then move into normal tarot, like traditional tarot. So I'm going to ask a little bit more around this truth that's emerging. I'm again going to look at why is it hidden? Why has it been a sort of hidden thing? Why has it been an unconscious thing? How to integrate it. And then we will see how it kind of might connect to a conscious belief that you need to let go of. And I think this is a very strong connection potentially to Roxanne's reading. I would definitely go and see Roxanne's reading, because there is something you need to let go of to let this through. So they're very strongly connected. But let's just see a little bit more using, you know, a more traditional tarot about what this truth is. We have the Moon reversed, the Knight of Pentacles reversed, the Queen of Swords reversed, the Fool reversed. Okay, that's good news with this. And Temperance reversed. Okay, all right. So first, there's a confirmation that this is something unconscious that's coming up with the Moon, and it has to. You're at a point now, as I say, there's a time clock on this, I think. Whether that means that there's actually an opportunity around you at the moment to do something like move jobs or move home or move connections, it could be that. But otherwise, this is really coming up. It's very, very insistent. And it's saying that things that you have with Knight of Pentacles, committed yourself to in the past, you can't anymore. There's some material change that's necessary, and you have to get past your own self-critique. Because I feel like many of you are probably quite successful in whatever this thing is, socially, politically, career-wise, emotionally. I mean, it could even be a relationship. You could know that, your soul twin is out there, but you're with someone who has some sort of makes sense. If you ticked off the criteria, they make a lot of sense, but it's not what you're yearning for. Whatever it is, you've had a tendency to critique yourself. And it's where you get into the thinking about it, that it stops you from letting this come up. And it's because it's I don't know what's coming. Will I be able to even succeed as much in the next thing and find my people as I have in the past? How can I let go of what has worked, even if it no longer feels energizing and aligned, if I don't know if I can do it right? And this is why the Fool reverse is such a good sign. It's saying that you will find that there is something familiar about this path. You're going into it with wisdom. When you're letting go of what isn't working, it's not like it disappears from your memory. You have that, and it will help you better clarify what you do want. But you have to do it. You're out of balance until you do it. This stuff is coming up. It's very, very insistent. I think many of you are probably very psychic, and I think this energy is coming up very strongly. And you may even, if it is like a soul twin or something, or your soul tribe, you may be dreaming about it with the moon reversed. All of those things. If so, maybe keep a dream journal. I'm getting that some of you might be dreaming about it very vividly and then forgetting. So say something into a voice recorder or something as soon as you wake up, because it's like it's trying to come up. And again, the dream verse, again, there's something about the world of dreams that's important here. So let's ask, why was this so hidden? Why was this so unconscious? King of Wands reversed. Queen of Pentacles, King of Cups reversed, Wheel of Fortune. Okay, I do think for some of you this is about a love relationship and letting it go because it's not the right one. But for others, this is about groups or something to do with as I say, career or groups or something like that. It was hidden because you did profit out of it in some way. Now, if it was a relationship, you made a commitment. And you went, this is the one. You thought this is the one, but the answer is no, it wasn't, because the real one is meant to come up. So that's possible. But if it's like a career or social cause, you were very committed, and it was actually really fortunate for you. What made it stay hidden is either there were lots of pressures from others involved in this, the other party, if it's a love relationship, or the other people you were dealing with, and it was very manipulative, I've got to say. There was a sense of a lot of responsibility was given to you. A lot was put on you to be the one who lived within the principles, while there was maybe not so much principled activity around it. But it was very emotionally and kind of with ego, very manipulative. It was, and it's why it makes it hard to let it go, because it was almost as though you were given emotional support, ego support, all that kind of thing, as long as you went along with this. And for a long time you did, but now you're realizing it's not quite right for you. So it's hidden because you had skin in the game, and that's perfectly reasonable. But something much better is trying to come up. That's what it's saying to you. So then let's see, how do you integrate this information now? How can you integrate the sense that you need to let something go almost shamanically? And I would say for some of you, explore shamanism. It could be some form of shamanic journeying will help you here. But how do you integrate this so that you can open up the potential of this? Two of Swords, Knight of Cups, Ten of Pentacles. Firstly, you have to make the decision that the old has to be let go of. Even if it felt stable, secure, financially, well, whatever it might be. And for some of you, it may be letting go of old family beliefs as well. So, it could be any of those sort of things. But the only way you can integrate this is to bury the past, bury the ghosts of the past, to let the new emotional connection come in. You've got to make the decision to do that. It's a decision you can make. It's completely up to you. But you have to make it knowing that you don't know everything. That's why it's a bit scary. But on the other hand, as I say, with the Fool reverse there, it's saying once you actually move into following your heart, following what this really is, you're going to find you're more aware of how to navigate it than you expect. but you've got to let the past go. There's something here that's really, really important to let go. Okay, I'm just going to draw 2 other cards from this. This is meant to connect back to Roxanne's reading. So it's really about how does it relate to some form of conscious belief that you have that needs to be reevaluated or let go. 10 of Cups reverse. Yeah, for some of you, this is about family stuff. Page of Wands. Okay, for some of you, the thing that's kind of like been almost the engine room of this is a lot of responsibility that's been put on you through your family, your birth family, your current family, your extended family, the culture of your family. And whether it's that they are literally the ones that are putting that pressure on you, or whether they've inculcated in you a sense that you shouldn't be looking for your creative being, you should be there for others. Like there's a real sense here that you were, with that Queen of Pentacles we saw before, you created this world where you were so supportive and so steady and committed for others. And there was a lot that you got from that. But what you didn't get from that was the true connections with those who would reciprocate. So this has got something to do with you re-owning your emotional right for your own passion. So it'll be interesting to see how that connects with Roxanne's reading, but this is a bit of the mechanism of how this occurred. A very good, kind, caring side of you and a very protective side has been knowingly or unknowingly exploited. It doesn't necessarily mean that those who've done this have meant to do that. They just might have been, well, this is who you are and this is what you do. But for you to find your true people and true reciprocity, you have to leave that behind. You have to look for another way to consolidate who you are and find your people. So let's give you some signposts. So what I want to do with this is I've got 2 different decks, one which has sort of dream and oracular energy, and we are very much in the world of dreams. And then we also have one which to me is like sign synchronicities and stuff. So I'm going to pull 2 from each. So these are meant to be signposts for you as this unconscious truth is starting to arise to be integrated. And then we're going to look at some support and other information around each of those signs. So this is really meant to be almost like a little bit of a map for you in actually letting this truth come up. So firstly, around the sort of dream side of it, dream or sort of oracle, liminal space side of it, that might come to you through dreams, meditation, shamanic journeying, any of those sort of things. We have courage, boldness, courage, wisdom. There's wisdom associated with this as well. This looks a bit like Athena, really. So there's sort of that sense of like being able to move forward with intelligence. You have the information. This is telling you that you have the information, and your dreams and your wisdom will bring that through. But it'll also give you the courage to do it, because it is going to take a bit of courage. And vehicles, car, this is dream imagery, this is movement, this is all about movement, one place to another, one group of people to another, having the courage to do that. Dreams, visions, journeying in particular, I do think there's something shamanic for many of you, is a really key part of navigating it, just doing it, just getting in the car and going, just being bold to explore the forest. Don't worry, you're going to find your way, and we are going to be looking at things to guide you through it. Let's also look at synchronistic stuff. So this is signs that this is emerging, and like something that's going on might be important. A conversation you're having at the time you see the sign, the place that you are the time you see the sign, something you were thinking about when you see the sign. So this is more what turns up in the 3D world, but it's like the liminal space communicating with you in your waking hours. So this is in your sleeping hours, this is in, or sleeping or meditation or whatever hours, this is waking hour guidance. Seedlings. Okay, so if you see gardens, if you see stuff about growing things, if you see somebody sort of planting seeds, or you see pictures of that, or even if you're thinking about what is the new thing that is so small and needs to be protected to be allowed to grow, and what is its right place. If you think about seedlings, have to be in the right soil, they have to be in the right place, the right conditions. So things like that are a sign for you. And eagle. So if you see an eagle, if you hear a song talking about eagles, if you listen to the eagles singing a song, any of those sort of things, flight, a higher level perspective. This is all, again, a way that synchronistically you could get a sense. I think for this, it would be if you see that or you hear about that, it may be a very strong sign that you're getting that higher level view. These people are high up in a tower, being able to see for very far, what's actually involved, and getting some confidence from that, knowing that you've got a really higher level perspective for this. So let's get you, for each of these types of things, a spirit energy to support you. So it could literally be these beings are with you, or it could be that their energy is something to focus on, again, as a navigation. So around having, when we're talking about in the dream space, having the courage and boldness to do this. Support for you is Commander Ashtar, starseeds, space travel, 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 travel. Some of you may be starseeds. This may be a confirmation around starseeds, if you feel that, and that's what you need to find. That you've been very, very good. And it actually makes a lot of sense, to be honest, because this sense of having almost inculcated a sense of responsibility and stewardship for others, taken to its extreme, can take you away from your people. So some of you, that might be the case. And this is meant to make you feel bold to go forward and find your people, not just be here for others, but to find your people. So I think there's something in that, something around, and it's also the wide open spaces, being up in the sky, seeing things from a higher order perspective. This should make you feel courageous. You actually do know what you're doing. Okay, and then for vehicles, cars, so for the journey itself, Saint Bridget, fire, passion. Yeah, what is passionate to you? This is the thing, like with the King of Wands, the Page of Wands reversed, and even, the reversals around cups. Somewhere in all of this, it's like it's become for you duty rather than passion. So part of understanding the journey is to go towards what is passionate for you. The guide energy around seedlings, around what is new that needs to be protected, and the symbolism of that for you. Lord Ganesha, you're meant to actually, see, you've done well out of this in one way or another. And as I say, for many of you, it could be very material. And if you're worried about that, you're going to be able to do it again. You know how to do it. If it's around doing well in terms of love, you're going to be able to find something even that's more connected to you. You have a blessing around this. You will be able to remove the obstacles. There's a clear path ahead. And then the eagle energy, what is watching over you is Archangel Uriel, illumination, inner power. Yeah, illumination, being up in the sun, in the sky with the stars. You're meant to really shine, and you are. It's meant to be passionate. It's meant to be creative in some way. I just feel like it's almost like you're an incredibly creative soul who's gone into this incredibly responsible role. And it's like a little bit of you is dying inside because of that. You have to let that die so that you can bring the passion back. Okay, so that's a guide energy for you. What about a star energy for you? So just an astrology energy that can also help you. So again, around the courage and boldness to go as broad as you need to go to find your people. We have the 7th house. A lot of you, this is about, it could be about love. It could definitely be about love, but 7th house can be all types of relationships. This is definitely a promise that if you have the courage to do this, you are going to find the connections that you need. The energy around the travel itself, travel back to passion that you're meant to be finding. Mutable, being flexible. Because, you've got a little bit rigid, pole one, and only because you are so caring and you are so responsible. But your passion will bring back, it's almost like you can limber up your body. We had the body and it was reversed. It's almost like you got stiff. Now being mutable, being flexible, brings the passion through, allows you to move again. Some of you, if nothing else, start an exercise program or something like that. That may be the thing that triggers all this energy coming up in you. Then when we're looking at the seedling, like how you can remove obstacles and get a clear path ahead to prosperity out of this. Sagittarius, it's all about fiery freedom again. Freedom, you have to be free. And that's why you have to let the old die away so that the new can come in. It's the price of freedom. And then with the eagle-eye perspective and the illumination that you can bring with it, we have 10th house. It's going to play out around career and who you are in the world. And it's interesting, 10th house is the uppermost, the most, if you think about it, the most up in the sky because it's the highest point in your chart. So you are meant to get to your highest point, not to be, you feel almost like someone who is meant to be in the 10th house, like passionately, creatively leading out on something, being connected to your people, but you're somehow in the 6th house and it's all about service. And that would be fine, but that's not who you're meant to be. Service is a wonderful thing, but it's not who you're meant to be. So then overall, with all of it, let's get an alchemical energy for you about, letting this new truth about who you are be integrated into yourself consciously. Gold. You see, can't get much better than that. Pile 1. Gold is the ultimate alchemical proof of the journey being successful. And it's interesting because I think there's a number of elements here. I think you've done this before, and I think you've done it in a way that wasn't your soul family or whatever, but you're just really good at creating wealth, creating prosperity, creating stable environments for people, all of that kind of thing. This is why you've got a bit stuck, because people will rely on you. But to really get to the gold of your spiritual evolution and what you can bring back to people and your connection to your people, you're going to have to let the old go. In the alchemical process, there is a thing called the Negreda, where everything is burnt down so that the new energy can come through. This is what this is talking about. You cannot get to gold. You cannot transmute base metals into gold, or spiritually our base spiritual energy into our spiritually enlightened or ascended energy without going through this process. So this is very much, it's a timing. You're ready to do this, and you've kind of done it before, and you can probably help others with it, but you've got to get more flexible, more creative, and connect into your people. Not sort of get distracted by all the material things in the world. The material things will sort themselves out if you follow your passion. So that's a very strong energy. So we also want to get a couple of healing cards, mystical healing that goes on when you integrate this. So firstly we have explore your ancestry. Now that's interesting. There may be something here. It's going to be, remember I said there's something about family. For some of you, this is understanding how the ancestry has kind of like literally like this character kind of almost made you a puppeteer. So exploring that may be allowing you to understand the mechanism that got you where you were and work out how to kind of gently free yourself. For others, it may be that your soul family and your spirit family and the people you're meant to be connected to have a very deep connection to your ancestry. You're in the right ancestral line, but as I say, just the way that you are manifesting at the place that you're at or the people that you're with at the moment may not be the right ones. But there's a healing energy here that goes across your ancestral line once you let this truth come forward. And it's a yes. Just look, leaping into it. It's a yes. Gold. Like this is a very, very positive reading actually, but it does require you to have that courage and to let go what isn't. Like let that, symbolically be buried so that you can move forward. So just to finish off, I just wanted to get a blessing over this coming up. I think we've got a pretty clear idea what the blessing is, but let's see what else Spirit wants to say about the blessing for you in letting this unconscious truth come up to be recognized and integrated. A blessing on a journey. I do think for many of you, there is place involved in this, or just even the act of travel that opens everything up might make you meet people and so forth. There's something about movement here, though. It's really, really important. But it's a blessing also on the journey that you're on, in knowing that you can do this, you can move forward. What the promise right from the beginning was to find your people, your kindred spirits, the new things, bring the new passion in. So really, really powerful. And a very strong message around letting go of what isn't working. So as I said about midway through this reading, I really encourage you to see Roxanne's reading, because I think that will give you the other half to this, help you sort of work out what it is sort of materially or emotionally that you need to let go of, or at least reevaluate, so that you can put what isn't working into the earth, bury it in the earth and move forward. But it's a very positive way to go. So I hope you enjoyed the reading, Pile 1. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with the Stranger, this major arcana card from the Inner Mask Oracle, which talks about the unknown, opportunity, risk and gifts. One of the things that strikes me about this, and it just might be an association I have, is that there in sort of spiritual or occult things, there's a thing called the dweller on the threshold. And it's a concept of a guide, a psychopomp. It can be sometimes a bit morally ambivalent, so it sort of depends on your belief structures, but a guide that actually helps you in going to that next level, exploring something and so forth. And in certain belief structures, it comes at times of major change. So I kind of get an energy of that when I look at the rest of these cards as well. there's definitely a sense here with intuition that you are going to have very strong guidance around this unconscious truth arising. Like it's triggered and it's big. It's big. I feel that this has got to do with almost a social cause issue, whether it plays out on a very sort of interpersonal level in, love or family relationships, or whether it plays out in work or in a cause. There is a sense of revolution and evolution operating here that is guided and has a very strong connection to everything, because we have another major arcana card here called the continuum, cycles, completion, roles. This is the kind of integration of everything in a way. And so there's a sort of a sense of what is your role, how do you integrate, how do you connect with others, how is this involved in the bigger matrix of the universe in a way, and what this is all about, and that change is almost inevitable, revolution is almost inevitable, which connects to this, the fourth mirror, rebellion, and energy that you have coming from this very deep guidance that it's time to change something. And we have the veil, bedrooms reversed. This is, when it's upright, talking about upbringing, nostalgia, polarity, it kind of connects to all the things we learnt as we grew up. It like our social status, all those things. But the veil is often the thing that keeps something hidden. This is an energy that you are lifting the veil on anything that had to do with elitism, that had to do with division, all of that kind of stuff. This is why it feels very social. It feels very political or something like that, in whatever way it plays out. So I feel as though you have a very strong guide that's coming through. It may be a new guide. It may be one that you haven't sort of come across before. And it is inviting you on a journey to connect to who you truly are within the universe, and as opposed to who you were born to be, if you think that, or social things tell you and so forth, that awakens in you a revolution towards greater equity, greater balance. But I feel like it has a very strong playing. It's like you can't avoid it anymore. It's almost like what would happen if you had been born into privilege and you have a very strong sort of psychic sense that this is actually to continue in that and not try to look at reconnecting with others and establishing a different balance would be to either spiritually atrophy or spiritually become part of a problem that you perceive. So there's a very strong sense here of a mission, a journey to go on, and a mission that is connected to the greater all and that understands your place within the greater all in a more authentic way rather than maybe in some sort of status way. So this is you in relation to people around you, situations you're in, privilege, whatever it might be, very, very strongly guided. So let's have a look. I mean, I think that's very positive, but it may take quite a shift in how you connect with people, and you may take on a very active role. So let's see what we get with this. Let's get a little bit more on the truth. Then we're going to have a look at why was this a hidden or unconscious truth for so long? How do you integrate it now? And then we'll also see how that relates to any conscious beliefs that you need to reevaluate or let go of, to connect it to Roxanne's reading. So firstly, just a little bit more about what are we talking about here? What's really going on in terms of a truth that's emerging? Seven of Cups, Five of Cups, King of Cups. This is a very emotional connection. It's about emotions. It feels like it's about status and material things, but it's emotional. Wheel of Fortune, the Moon reverse. Oh, that's interesting. The Moon reverse came up in one of the other readings in this first line. I think this is really readings where it's inevitable. It's coming out whether you want it to or not. Because with the Moon reverse, things come to the surface. Mysteries, veils are ripped back. The truth is shown. So something's coming up. It has to do with the fortunes of the world, your fortunes, and so forth. This is saying that there's a deep healing, and I think this guide is coming through for you, for a deep healing for you and for the fortunes that you have seen around you. There is an impetus towards healing. This is about healing, and it's about understanding the difference between your ideals and what you've actually experienced or seen. So this is, you have a really good heart, pile two. You're coming from the right place, but I feel as though either you've been really fortunate. In fact, I feel it's more likely to be that than the other. It is possible that you may be coming from a place where you have much to offer creatively, emotionally, and all that kind of thing, but fortune has stood in your way, and it's because of status, and you're really starting to understand with guidance how to connect with your people and rebel. So it could be you realizing how to have a breakthrough if you feel that you have been disadvantaged. But I think for many of you, it's really the opposite. I think that you're highly idealistic. And you were born with a lot of opportunities to do something with it, but you were born into a structure which was not in accordance with your ideals. So this is now getting you to really see this, and a guidance coming in, because there's something about the purity of your heart that will really shift this energy in whatever way it is. That's why it's important. So let's see why this was hidden for so long. Why was this a hidden or unconscious truth? Justice, King of Pentacles reversed, the Chariot, Six of Swords. Okay, I'm getting a very specific thing here. It's not going to be for everybody, but I'm going to say it. For some of you, this is been hidden for a long time because of some very powerful person within your family or your social circle. And I feel it's merging now because that person is leaving in one way or the other. It's like it's the scion of a rich family is passes on, and then it's like, what's the next step for the legacy of this? It has been hidden because it was not yet the right time for the old order to disintegrate. It wouldn't have been able to move forward. There wouldn't have been a pathway that was clear. And in a weird way, because whatever this was just for the time. And I think that's the point. So it could well be, as I say, you were born into a family that did extremely well. And in many ways, it was just. They created maybe, like this as an example, they created a business and they employed people, and there were a whole bunch of things that were positive out of it. But it then did shift the balance of where you and others should be in the continuum. So now it had to wait for the right time to allow justice to shift, for justice now to be served by change. If you think of it a bit like, the seasons, to everything there is a season. There is a time to plant the seeds, then they grow, then they come to their fruition. Then we hit autumn, and then that needs to go away so that new growth can come through. There's something about timing here. There's something about, and it may be also that you had to get to the point where this energy came in for you to really understand that a kind of underneath sense of social justice or something that had been nagging at you needs to come out now, because now there is an opportunity to move forward. And as I say, I feel for some of you it's because a very powerful influence is now no longer in the play, or otherwise it's just that the natural decay of all material things is kicking in on this, which is allowing the new energy to come through. So timing has been very important here. So how do you integrate knowing this now, knowing that you have a bit of a cause, I think, to re-establish yourself and others in a fairer sort of system, and a fairer sort of universal role energy? The Magician, the Knight of Wands reversed, the Page of Swords. Okay, your communication skills, very, very strong. You're actually meant to do this. I mean, this is coming up for you because you actually have the communication skills to do it. In fact, have all the skills that are necessary to do it. You will get the guidance, but there's a message that you're meant to. You can't just sit in your bedroom, this is why the bedrooms is reversed, and just contemplate it. You're meant to take this out. This is a message. It's meant to connect into the continuum. It's meant to be seen. It's meant to see all of the various aspects of you and others that are important to this. And it's because you know how to deal with more conservative energy. This really feels like someone who's, as I say, been born into some sort of like power or privilege, or like a social strata where you understand the rules of the game. So this is, now asking you to integrate this by understanding your skills to work with this and to shift it in a way that is supportive. It's not, because again, it doesn't really feel necessarily like what was before was, fundamentally unjust. It feels more that it served its time, and now you need to move people past the conservatism, because otherwise they're in a decaying sort of environment. And out of that, things become unfair. Over time, they do become unjust. So there's a pivotal point around this for you. So understanding what this is in your life is important. So how does this relate to a conscious belief that you are ready to reevaluate or let go? So connecting, just a couple of cards to connect this back to Roxanne's side of the reading. Nine of Pentacles, the Fool reversed. Okay, so this is showing you, I think, that the feeling I have of a conscious belief here, and it'll be interesting to see what you get with Roxanne's reading and how it aligns, but I feel like this is a belief about readiness to stand in independence. I think there might have been a question in you. Were you ready to follow your own truth? Did you have all the information you needed? So how this connects is that the answer is yes. What's coming up here now says yes, you are actually ready to be the independent one and to take the wisdom that you have forward on a new journey. But and it's not naive. You know what you're dealing with. You know the game. Very, very interesting. So I wanted to get you some other support for this. So I thought that when unconscious truths are coming up from the unconscious, then they often come up in a couple of different ways. Sometimes they speak to us through sort of dream or meditation sort of imagery. So I've got a deck that looks at that. We're going to get a couple of signs that you might see in dream states, meditative states, shamanic journeying, that kind of thing. And then they also come up in the 3D world sometimes through synchronicities. So, you hear the same song a few times and there's something about the lyrics or that kind of thing. So we're going to look at both of those to see some signs for you about the readiness for this energy to be coming up for you. So firstly, from the dream state or similar sort of states, empowerment. Okay, so dreams or meditations or whatever that make you feel empowered, make you understand that you're able to do this is going to be very important. So when you have that sort of energy, and I feel it's also connecting to a spirit guide. I think you may dream or find in meditation a very powerful spirit guide that is helping you find your cause. Like that almost makes me think of the Lady of the Lake, even though she's not in the lake, with Excalibur. It's finding your power, your energy, your communication skills and so forth. So dreams or meditations around that are a sign for you. And leadership. Yeah, all right, yeah. So I think you're going to have dreams, meditations, journeys, or whatever, where you take it. This is the sword. There's something about justice. For some of you, this is very clearly about a shift to bring around greater justice in something, definitely. But anyway, you're going to see yourself in those sort of roles. You're going to feel that sort of energy. You're going to have a cause to go through. So dreams, meditations, all of that kind of thing. That energy coming through is, I think, your guide starting to show you what a role is that you're meant to have. Let's have a look at what signs might happen synchronistically for you. Eagle, that's interesting. That came up in one of the others. So you may literally sort of hear songs about eagles. You may see eagles. You may see drawings or paintings of eagles. You may, as I said, listen to the eagles singing, like anything like that. There's something, but I also think this is something about a higher level perspective. Flight, anything that like makes you feel, you have that longer range. Is a sign for you. And this is really strange. This came up for another one as well too. Some of you may be coming to both, which is interesting actually. If this was a continuum, if this is the next step from the other one, that would be very interesting. But say you do you. I'm not trying to force you to go and look at another one, but there's a very similar way that synchronicities are coming through here. New growth, you may see gardens, you may have gardening sort of videos suddenly come up on your YouTube recommendations. You might see pictures of seedlings. You may yourself feel the wish to sort of like plant things and let them grow and use that as a metaphor. But there's something very new, higher order coming here. What's different in this to the other one is that the message is very much about leadership. So what I want to do is I want to get you some other guidance about each of these things. So we're looking at a spiritual guide for each of these sort of signs for you. So around the empowerment, Goddess Lakshmi, beauty, fortune, prosperity. I do think, it may be a very beautiful spiritual guide actually that comes to you, female, that feels divine feminine. But having said that, I think there's something about your beauty, your style, all of those sort of things that connects to being able to do this. You may have a very beautiful speaking voice with the sort of magician and the page of swords, but your presentation is part of what's going to empower you. Then around leadership, Lord Ganesha, Yeah, you are meant to part of your leadership is to get past obstacles, to find the clear way with this higher order vision, to move ahead, and to bring prosperity. So it's not about throwing out so much of the social order that suddenly everybody's poor or something, like leveling everybody's equal because everybody's poor. It's actually quite the opposite. Everybody is able to, in whatever way this is, flourish, and you help with getting rid, your leadership helps to get rid of obstacles. With the eagle eye view energy around this for you, we get Melchizedek, spiritual development, law of attraction, study. This could be saying study around things that give you a broader perspective. When you start to see this sign, it may be a sign that Melchizedek is saying this is something to learn about. So say for argument's sake, you saw an eagle poster sort of in a library, it might be pointing you towards something to look at and an area to look at or something. It could also just be saying it's your spiritual and the spiritual guide too. He may be your spiritual guide actually. I wouldn't be surprised. And then in terms of seedlings, Archangel Uriel, illumination, inner power. It's very interesting. There's a very significant similarity to another reading here. But again, it's sort of like the new area, the new thing for you is to plant seeds for other people with your communication that illuminates and that sort of brings ideas into being and so forth. So you're an ideas person. What you're offering is not so much material, even though I think it will have a material input. It's ideas, it's communication. That's the thing that brings all this through. This is also why study and knowledge and spiritual sides of things are very important. But I feel like it has a social imprint to it on some level. Okay, let's also get you some astrology energy around each of these. So around the empowerment energy, the first house, who are you? What you bring to this is very, very clear. You're almost like the stranger on the threshold for people too. You're drawing people to your style, to your way of presentation, to your speaking voice, whatever it is. Around leadership, we get the third quarter, the release, out with the old and in with the new. So there's something here about the old order needs to change, the new order needs to come in. Around the eagle, the wisdom, the spiritual development, that is a signpost for you. We have the seventh house. This could be about finding the right people to connect with. It is about relationships in a very broad sense, like the continuum, because with the continuum, that's all the other energies around you. So getting good relationships, connecting spiritually is going to be very important. And around the seedlings, the new growth, trine, it's going to be easy. Go with what is easeful. That, in fact, may be a sign. If you're finding it hard to plant your idea with one set of people, try someone else, because the sign that it's going to work, the early adopters in change, as they call them, you're going to find an ease with all of that. Okay, let's see the alchemical energy of letting this unconscious truth come up to be integrated. The golden rose, beautiful. Like this is very far along in the alchemical journey. It's the integration of the spiritual and the material, because that's what the white rose is. And the golden rose is the value of the spiritual and the material coming together. So there is something here. This is why you've got the spiritual guidance. You do have a role in some way, at some level, whatever resonates for you, to spiritually move the material world in some way, and the social structure or something like that in some way. So that's beautiful. Let's see what you heal within yourself or within others with this unconscious truth coming to the surface, pile 2. Experience rebirth. Wow. Well, within yourself, it's a whole new you. There's really a sense here about, for many of you, they're like the birth of the original birth family, all that kind of stuff, and then what you birth within yourself. But you probably help other people do it too, move beyond the confines that they have because of their birth family or their origins, and access clear thinking. So it is very communication, thinking wise, all that kind of stuff. This guide is meant to sort of bring you the clarity to do this, to take away a lot, because you're very idealistic, but it's actually connecting you to how to communicate that clearly so that people can sort of like be drawn to what you're saying. Okay, so just to finish off pile 2, I just want to draw you a blessing for the blessing that comes with this unconscious truth coming to the surface. A blessing on your family. See, there's something about family. It could be finding your true family. It could be, dealing with the karma of your family. It could be shifting your family back to its ideals. But there's something here that connects to origin stories, really. And then your broader family, the spiritual family that you're with. But whatever it is, it's time for you to lead out with your voice, with your ideas, with your new approaches, and with a really strong sense of justice, to heal others, to help yourself and others have rebirth, to think clearly, to be able to do it, and to sort of really look at bringing something that is a more just system in. So it's lovely. I hope that resonates for you, pile 2. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. And do go to Roxanne's reading, because I do think that's the other piece of this puzzle is what conscious belief you've had that maybe needs to be reevaluated or let go of to really let this energy through. So don't miss out on that reading. Beyond that, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So you came to the reading with the Martyr, which talks about sacrifice, hindrance, and a higher cause. And I kind of intuitively felt anybody who comes to this reading is probably pretty brave, because of the 3 starting points, this one looked like the most challenging, and it is the most challenging, I think, in terms of an unconscious truth coming to the surface. The Martyr talks about sometimes, having such a big wish to do something, or such a big cause, or feeling a higher cause, that we do sacrifice ourselves. We do literally martyr ourselves to a cause, to an ambition, to what other people require of us. And what is coming up to the surface is to understand what's authentic in your cause and what is inauthentic, so that you can come and bring this into more balance. Because when we look at these cards, we've got like 3 other major arcana. This is big. Like, this is a big thing. So it's a big ambition you have. It's a big pattern in you that is wanting to shift here, so that, as I say, you become a bit more free from whatever the expectations are you put on yourself or others put on you. It is a big step towards being able to feel more in balance. But there's big stuff around it for you in general, because the Martyr, as it says, like there's sort of like a higher cause. There's a lot going on in this energy. And it's like, do you sometimes block yourself or just give up or think that, you have to be sacrificed for, some other thing, sacrificed for your art, for your passion, for your beliefs or whatever, because of the nature of the world that you're dealing with. So this is coming up to the fore for you to start to understand how you can bring things into balance and move forward yourself, and extricate yourself from those that are triggering this in you. So, and it could be triggering it because they're trying to compete with you and they're trying to keep you down. It could also be that there is a sense you have an almost cautionary pessimism that's saying that, you'll always have to give up, or you won't be seen, or whatever. And this could be because of experiences you've had. It's interesting that we have the 6th mirror. So the mirror is where we do kind of reflect a mirror with others. And this is mirror maze. It's overwhelm, the task ahead, a labyrinth. There is a sense here, I think, that there's something very big that you would like to do creatively. Could be romantic. I think this feels sort of bigger than, I probably shouldn't say bigger than romance, because romance is very important, but it feels like it involves a lot of people. If it is around romance, it involves a lot of people and a lot of different sort of things that you have to navigate. But I think there's sort of a sense of there is a labyrinth you want to find your way through. There is something where you want to move forward, but it feels a bit overwhelming, and possibly because when you've sort of like done this before, you felt like in the end you had to sacrifice what you wanted for something else. And you know that you want to bring this into balance. You want an end of conflict. You want celebration. You want hope. And there is a promise that this should come, but it comes via understanding the interaction with others. Because 2 of the other major arcana here, the stage, when upright, this talks about aspirations, revelry, and ideas. It's the kind of all the world's a stage. What can you create? And how do you interact with others to create it? When it's reversed, there's a sort of a sense of competition, a sense of rivalry rather than revelry. There's a sense even of like what is true and what is, kind of just being acted out. So there's sort of an energy with other people that are part of this labyrinth, And then we have the author. And then when that's upright, we have inspiration, ideas, impact, really being inspired, really coming forward. When it's reversed, it's feeling blocked in being able to be truly who you are. So this is, overall, this says to me that there's something about the people that you're around and the environment that you're in. I think you're a highly creative person. I think you have a story to tell. You have a truth to give to others, whatever it might be. But it feels overwhelming, and it feels like every time you try and do it, everybody else is crowding out the stage, or everybody else is trying to make it their story. Some of you may literally have had creative or other things stolen from you. And what this is trying to bring to the surface is to work out why. And the solution then. And it's like not allowing this energy to happen, not saying the higher cause means that you must almost self-immolate on the pyre of the work itself, but that you find the balance to be able to not be in conflict around it and go forward with what you want, and to be the author of your own story here, not let everybody else block that or tell you who you are or what you are. But this is big. Whatever this is big. And I think it's about a big ambition, a big dream. It may be the biggest dream you have for your life, and you have blocked yourself because you have this sense like, I can't do it. There's too much competition. I'll never be able to bring it into balance. And if that's the case, this message is, that's wrong. You can bring it into balance. You just have to stop worrying so much about the other people and stop doing what you think they need and start following the direction you want. Start being the author of your life. So this is a call to arms, to be honest, I think, and it's for you. It's not necessarily, I think you often do put things aside for a cause, but this is saying don't do this. This is about you, your authentic self, who you want to be, how you want to express yourself, whatever it might be. And if it is about love, it's saying don't sacrifice yourself and thinking, oh, the other party is the one who's going to be there. It's like, think about what you want. There's a big self-sacrificial aspect to this that partly comes from a higher ideal, I think, but it also partly comes from a sort of sense of almost overwhelmed by the competition before you start. And I think that the truth that's coming out is that you shouldn't be that way. That very strength that made you be able to walk away sometimes or self-immolate is the strength that can take you through this and bring you to balance. So let's get a little bit more information about it. We're going to just ask for a little bit more information overall about this truth that's coming to the surface. Then we're going to look at why was it hidden. We're going to look at how you integrate it now, and we'll also connect it back to any kind of, potentially, I think in your case, self-limiting belief that is conscious, that Roxanne can help you with in the reading about a conscious belief that needs to be reevaluated or let go. So let's just get a little bit more idea about what's going on here. Ace of Cups, Two of Pentacles, Ten of Pentacles, King of Wands reversed, Queen of Wands. Okay. I think a lot of people in this group, it's something creative, like you're an actor or an actress, or you're a singer, or you're a painter, or you're a writer. I mean, it doesn't have to be that, but there's something very creative about this. And it's saying you have these wonderful ideas, like that the inspiration around it is beautiful and very pure. But it's almost as though it hits a roadblock the minute that it happens. It's like the first choice, you're thinking about what's the ending going to be as opposed to enjoying it. And I think that blocks you, because I think you think about the already established. Like, this feels like someone who is very, very talented at something, but they look at the competition and they think, all these people, they're already successful. How can I even get there? And that's the block that occurs. It becomes a material block because there's a sense of like, how can I do it? And it actually subdues their own ambition, even though it's still there. So there's sort of a sense here of, it's not envy necessarily, but it's kind of like there's a sense that you need to be aware that you may respond because of the purity of what you want to do, and this sort of sense that it's almost too hard to get from the beginning choice to what it could be, that you almost go, oh, well, I will suppress myself, because either I can't do it or that's the right thing to do it, or I'm not going to be egotistical. Those people are really egotistical. I don't want to be egotistical. But you're meant to actually realize it's not ego, and you are meant to be creative, and you are meant to be self-actualized. So there's some sort of weird thing going on here about, on one hand, you have all this talent, you have all this ability, whatever it is, but on the other hand, it's sort of like, as I say, it's a cautionary pessimism where you almost stop yourself, and then devalue what it is in a way, in yourself and in others. And so I think this is saying don't. That this is something very pure in you and something you're meant to do to self-actualize. It's just that you're too hung up on what's already in place and what the competition is. But that's not the point. That's not the point. It's not you. Your own message is your own message. Okay, so why has this unconscious truth been hidden for so long? The Hierophant, okay. Judgment reversed. Page of Pentacles reversed. Death card. Okay. For most of you, you've been taught to think this way with the Hierophant. Like the minute I saw that, pretty much answered it all. I was trying to work out why somebody who has such a pure, beautiful, creative spirit is also someone that blocks themselves and then devalues what they have and what else other people might be doing. You've been taught this. You've been taught either by your family or schooling or whatever that you following your call is not the right thing to do. Like it feels very much like a creative person who's in a family that says, no, you're not going to make a living that way. You've got to go and be an accountant or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with being an accountant, by the way, but this is a very creative, passionate sort of energy. So you've been taught it. You've been taught to suppress your own calling. You may even, for some of you, you may have almost like, because you were meant to face this and step up and do it yourself, or just because you were in sort of family groups or environments that weren't going to value what you did or were threatened by you if they thought that you were going to be more talented. Some of you have literally not had the resources available to do it. So the concept of the choice of doing it has always been put on hold. Because like when I see death and judgment, they're the two choice cards to me. Death usually means that there's still the opportunity. So they're saying it's still the opportunity. It's still there. You just haven't taken the choice. Judgment has a time clock on it. So this is also saying that it's coming up now because the time, like you'll run out of the opportunity to do this. But you need to understand that you've been taught to think of yourself and of these things this way, whatever that means. And so if it's about passion and love, you've been taught somehow that you're not supposed to have your grand love. That there's something else that you're meant to do or something like that. Or that you'll always be alone. And none of that is true. None of that is true. So there is a very big conscious belief that I think you've been taught that you need to shift. So very, very important to sort of see what Roxanne has to say, because this is being inculcated in you. It's not real. But the time is getting really, there's an opportunity, I think, coming up to bring this into balance. That's why Spirit is pushing this at this point. So let's see, how do you integrate this now? If you understand this, how to integrate this truth. Four of Cups reversed. Eight of Wands reversed. Nine of Cups. Okay. It's really just understanding the dynamic. That's all you really need to do. Understand that you need to come out of a sense of divine discontent. You need to come out of this sense that you will always have lesser, because it's the thing that's blocking your creative flow. It's the only thing that's blocking it. Whatever this is, you deserve more and it's time for you to have more, basically. Then you can pursue what you love and get your wish. It is within your hands. And it's not, for whatever is told you in a way in a higher cause that you shouldn't do this, like, it's egotistical or it's narcissistic or I don't know, there's some sort of mind games that have been done on you. You don't exist just to give up on your dream and some higher sort of cause to show that you would give up everything. You exist to be who you are and to create and bring this beautiful thing into being and follow your dream. But you've got to come out of this sort of sense that it couldn't happen, because Spirit is saying it can. So let's see how this relates to the conscious belief that you may need to sort of reassess, reevaluate, let go of. So just a couple of cards to connect it back to Roxanne's reading. Nine of Pentacles reversed. The Fool. Okay. You don't need other people. There's something about other people's views. You've got to go out on your own here. And ironically, then you will find the right people. But right now, the only right people really are the ones that are on the new path that you go. You don't need the people that you've got at the moment. There needs to be a fundamental shift around the kind of people materially that you're around, that you spend your time with, that you listen to. That's what you've got to sort of understand. You've got to like kind of go on this new journey. So given that, let's give you some guidance. So I think there's a couple of ways when unconscious truths are coming up that we might get that information. One is through maybe dreams, meditation, shamanic journeying, all of that kind of thing. So we're going to get a couple of cards for energies around that sort of way, that the liminal world is sending you information or guidance in those sort of states. And then I'm also going to use another deck for synchronicities, so where the material world seems to be sending you that information as well. So firstly, a couple from the sort of liminal space. Naked. Okay, all right. So you may have dreams that you're naked. We probably all have these dreams sometimes, and they usually are a form of vulnerability. There's a couple of things that I think this is trying to say. If you have those dreams, firstly, it is to understand the vulnerability that you have placed yourself in. But secondly, that you have to be true to yourself and be open to be able to move this forward. So you have to be comfortable in that. You're so strong. If you're a martyr, you're so strong. Turn that strength into being able to be vulnerable and being true to who you are, rather than true to this cause or true to whatever you've been taught. Okay, and then another way that you will be getting information or prompts from the liminal space, spiritual guides. So you're going to have spiritual guides. It doesn't surprise me with that major arcana joined with 3 other major arcana. This is big, as I say. So trust that you're going to get guidance. Trust that, and they will come to you through those spaces. Connect to guides in your meditative spaces or journeying or whatever. Okay, so then also synchronicities, things that you may see in the 3D material world that also are signposts that you're heading in the right direction, or this truth is coming up and you're starting to integrate it. Meditation. That's interesting. It might be just saying, do meditate. But you may also sort of see, advertisements for meditation. You may have meditation, guided meditations coming up in YouTube, in which case probably do them. Whatever it might be, but there's something here about getting into that space of going within. That's a sign for you that the material world is sort of showing you. And hearts. Okay, what is passionate to you? You may see hearts, you may hear songs talking about hearts, broken hearts, in love hearts. You may see hearts on clothing, you may see it on pottery, like it could be anything, but hearts connecting you to your heart. But I think it's also a sign that you're connecting, and I think connecting to your spirit guides. So speaking of such things, let's see what spirit guide energy is around each of these sort of signs for you, pile 3. So around this being able to be naked, be able to be vulnerable, be able to be true to yourself, Archangel Gabriel, self-expression, creativity, following your North Star. Gabriel is prophecy as well. So there could be some very big thing here. You might have some very big message that only you can do, and if you let the competition dissuade you before it even starts, you don't bring that message. But there's very much a sense here of you have a message to bring out. The spiritual guides in general are important. What's a particularly strong spirit guide around bringing you this strength and self-awareness? Guru Ram Dass, humility, spiritual practice, elevation. Okay, so I think there's a couple of things around this. I think this is about, doing it within the world, like your spiritual practice is within the world. But I think it's also the sense of there's something about humility with you. It's how you use it well. I think you've been taught to think if you went after what you did, it's selfish or it's egotistical or narcissistic or something. It's just saying no. That in fact, you're not that sort of person. So it's how you actually shift that energy and bring it through with humility, but with authenticity. Then with meditation, a spirit energy around that for you. Archangel Metatron. Wow, you got some pretty big hitters here. You've got Archangel Gabriel, the one of prophecy, and then you've got being your own author, which it was talking about. Metatron is the scribe of the divine. It's like really trying to get you through things. That's why I'm saying meditation is very important for you to understand your spiritual power and to be able to express yourself. Really powerful. And then hearts. So what spirit energy is around that sort of symbolism for you? Archangel Sandalphon. This is music. Music, lyrics, pay attention to any songs. If you hear songs with hearts in it, what are you thinking about at that time? It's really important. But music, and it's interesting too because Archangel Sandalphon, is Metatron's twin. So there's a real sense of the authorship and the music in bringing it into being. These were both people that became archangels. There's a real sense of people around this, but getting the right people towards you that connect in with what your message is. I think that's the kind of subtext of all of this. So let's have a look at the astrology energy for each. So around the vulnerable self-expression energy, we have Capricorn. It's meant to be done in the material world in some way. You're meant to establish something. It is meant to be. It's not, whatever this is, it's like, it is art for art's sake in a way, but it is meant to be in the world, and it is meant to sort of give you some status in the world. There's nothing wrong with having that. Then with the spirit guides and with this sort of like better use of humility. First house, bringing yourself out. You're meant to bring yourself out. I really think most of you have been somehow told that if you went after what you wanted or you express yourself, you're somehow being a show-off or something, and it's just not true. With the concept of meditation, Metatron being your own author, opposition, understanding what has stood between you and that. That's what meditation. Meditate into what has opposed you having your own story. And then for Sandalphon, the music, the melody, the answered prayer, of the heart energy. We get the waxing gibbous moon, adjustments, clarify your direction and intention. Allow your heart and sort of like the music or melody of what you want to clarify where you're going, not the opposing forces that are stopping you telling your story. Okay, so if you integrate this unconscious truth, what is the alchemy that you achieve? Wise salt. Okay, so wise salt is about wisdom. Wise salt is salt that absorbs that which is healthy and needs to move forward. So there will be things around you and from your experience that are worth absorbing, worth keeping. People that are worth keeping, experiences, knowledge, learning, all of that kind of thing. Equally, let's go of what is no longer necessary. So it's that process. And it connects very much with what Roxanne's reading would be talking about. So let's look at some healing energy that comes about by letting this unconscious truth come forward. This could be healing for you or for others. All right, I almost dropped. I always think when I almost drop one that it's important to shuffle again. So reverse disassociation. Okay, so I think this is partly your own disassociation from yourself. If you go into a kind of martyr phase, you almost disassociate yourself from your own aims, and it kind of, disassociation can work for people if they're dealing with trauma or unhappiness, because it kind of numbs it. So I think this is saying stop numbing it and reconnect to yourself. And ennoble your soul. Yeah, this is why meditation, all these spiritual energies, this is actually really good for your soul. It's not what you've been told. So if you integrate this unconscious truth now, just to finish off, what is the blessing that has been brought to you? A blessing to find the truth. Yeah. Because I think all of this feels to me like you've been taught something that was untrue. You've been given a sort of sense that you have to always, sacrifice yourself and your aims for other people, or that if you followed what you really wanted to do in your heart, you're somehow being selfish or egotistical or something. It's time to find the truth. It's time to find that, in fact, you are able to be the author of your own being. You can bring this into balance. You don't have to feel overwhelmed by it. It's big. Whatever you want to do is big, but you are more than ready for this journey. So I hope that resonates. Probably the most challenging of the three, but on the other hand, hugely rewarding if you do it. So I hope that resonates for you and you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Please go and see Roxanne's reading to see what conscious belief you need to reevaluate or let go to really unlock this, because there's something very beautiful in you waiting to be born. Beyond that, I hope to see you in future readings.